Hey, welcome, y'all. So I did set it up so that I could be live both here and there. So we are live on both Facebook or all three Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram over here. Good night, Instagram. I figured out how to add y'all to the party. Okay. Good night, YouTube family. Good night, Facebook family. So good to see y'all tonight. Now, what I will say, Insta, is if you are in my Facebook community or if you are following me on or subscribe to the YouTube channel, the questions over here are going to get priority. So just letting y'all know right now because the scroll situation and all this going on over here on Instagram, yes, I love it, but the priority of question answering is going to go over here to YouTube and Facebook. You've been warned. Okay. So tonight we have such a good conversation that literally came from Monday. We're doing a series inside of Feminine Success School right now called Dating Decoded. It's for single women. It's for women who are revving up their dating life or stepping back into dating or in brand new relationships. And one of the things that we talked about in that conversation was understanding the difference between chemistry and compatibility, because often in the online streets and all of the places, we are getting the idea that they're kind of the same thing, and they're not. Okay, so make sure that if you are on Facebook that you give StreamYard access to see your name, because if not, all I'll see is Facebook user when you leave a comment. Good night, everyone. Good night, good night, good night. I wish I could wave at all of you, but y'all know. Y'all know. But good night. I'm so glad to have y'all here to join this conversation because it's going to be a good one. And the main thing that I want to impress upon you tonight is don't trust chemistry. Don't trust chemistry. And we're going to talk about why tonight. So, for those of you who might be joining me for the first time, maybe a friend shared, maybe you just followed me on IG. I'm Yaya Smith. I am the Feminine Success Coach. I'm the founder of Feminine Success, author of the Feminine Success book, host of Feminine Success TV. And obviously, from the name of my business to just everything that you see in the space, I am super, super passionate about helping women, specifically Black women, Black and Brown women, understand the power of femininity. We get a lot of the pretty of femininity. So we get a lot of, change out your wardrobe, uh dress yourself up, make yourself up. We get all of that, and all of that is wonderful, but that's the decoration. And so often we neglect to build the house because we are focused on the decor. We think that if we make it look better, then it'll actually feel better. I have helped over the years hundreds of women who have created success for themselves, but realized that once they got there, they still felt like they were sacrificing something. They still felt like something was missing, or that they were neglecting a very vital part of themselves, that they were sacrificing who they really are and what they really desire for what they were told they should want. And so I've helped those women to redesign their entire lives from the inside out to truly live in their authenticity and create success that is sustainable and that truly does feel good, that doesn't require you to um, neglect or sacrifice your love life in order to be well paid, that doesn't require you to neglect your career and your business in order to be well loved. I believe that we can have it all. We look out into the world often, as especially as Black women, and we see other women who seem to have it all, and the messaging is that they can, but the messaging to us is often that we have to sacrifice something. We have to let something go. We can't have it all. I'm here to tell you that you can have it all, that you don't have to do it all to have it all. You don't have to wear a cape in order to have it all. You don't have to be superwoman, constantly crucifying and sacrificing yourself in order to have it all, or hustling to prove your worth, as I've said over the years. You don't have to do that in order to have the life that you truly desire from a very deep level. So tonight we're going to talk about something that I love. I love relationships. If you've been around for any amount of time, you know I love relationships. If you're on Instagram, you see my husband over here dropping roses in the comments as he always does. Hello, husband. So good to see you here tonight. And having amazing relationships to me is at the foundation of success. Actually, I like to call your relationships like the roof. If you're building a house, you could build the most beautiful house, but if you don't have something that covers that house, that protects that house, and that's what our relationships do. They cover us, they protect us, they allow us to withstand the things that show up in our life. And having great relationships, just like having a good quality roof, is going to make getting through life so much more fulfilling, so much more warm. And that's what I'm here to help y'all do tonight. So don't trust chemistry. Don't trust chemistry. Hey, my love. So good to see you over here. Don't trust chemistry. I am a firm believer. Something that I have said probably for the last 12 or 13 years, as long as I've been in the relationship that I have been in with my wonderful husband, that love, real love, lasting love does not feel like butterflies. It feels like home. And so often we chase after the feeling of butterflies. We chase after excitement. We chase after chemistry. Very much with this understanding that a good relationship, a relationship that's meant, is going to make my heart leap. But I'm here to tell you that a relationship that is truly good for you and healthy for you is going to make your heart relax. You will feel safe in that space. And here's why I say don't trust chemistry. Here's why I say don't trust chemistry. Because, so Yamina says it's a good topic. Because we're going to go a little bit deeper right now. Okay. We're going to go a little bit deeper right now. Chemistry is based on chemicals, right? And what you're deciding to mix. If you've taken a chemistry class, I took chemistry. I definitely got a C. It was one of the most difficult classes I've taken. I was like, oh my God, I got a C, but that's over. That's behind me now. Okay. But if you've taken chemistry, you know that there are certain elements that you can mix that will get a quote unquote successful chemical reaction, right? But that reaction is an explosion. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you've ever been in an explosive relationship where the chemistry was amazing. It was like fireworks all over everywhere, but it was also like dropping bombs. Like, I can raise my hand because I've definitely been there. I can raise my hand because I've been there. Chemistry, you can feel good with someone because their trauma matches your trauma, because your traumas feel good together. You can feel good and understand this. So often we look at trauma and we say, oh well, I'm not hurt, I'm not dealing with pain from my past. But guess what? Hustle can be a trauma response. Hustle can be a trauma response. So you could be in a relationship with someone where the chemistry matches. You could choose a job, a workplace where the chemistry matches because their hustle matches your hustle, not realizing that all of that hustle is coming from a place of lack, a place of stress, a place of trauma. And so what you find is that when you're chasing chemistry, when you're looking for something that feels good, you often repeat the same situations, and they may look different on the surface. Think about it. Some of us chase chemistry in our shopping habits. We're just looking for that thing that makes us feel good. Some of us chase chemistry in how we're constantly moving from relationship to relationship or job to job or staying in places that feed parts of you that may be comfortable but not compatible. So understand that chemistry is really based on emotions, it's based on feelings, and we all know feelings are temporary. Feelings don't last. Feelings come, they go. But chemistry is about mixing well. Do you mix well together? We just talked about the fact that things can mix well together and have a successful mix and be explosive depending if you're trying to mix a poison and you mix two things together that create toxicity, you've been successful, right? So chemistry really is telling you that you can successfully mix two things together. Great. But do those things work together? And compatibility is about what works well, not just what mixes well. What works well. So often, though, when we are used to chasing chemistry, when we are used to making our decisions based on not intuition, I'm not talking about when a person feels good to you intuitively. I'm talking about when they feel good to you only emotionally. We can focus on the wrong thing. We can focus on mixing well instead of actually working well. And here's why this is important. When you are building a relationship, specifically a relationship that is moving towards long term partnership and marriage, those acts are bigger than emotions. Like, I hate to sound cliche, but they really, really are. You need to know that you can raise children together if children is what you want. You need to know that you can build a business together, that you can buy property together, that you can manage finances together, that you can manage a household together, that you can manage your spiritual growth and your emotional growth and self development together. That's compatibility when you can work well together. Okay. When a job works well with where you are going. When a person works well with where you are going, then you know that you are compatible and it's not just chemistry. See, chemistry can keep you stuck. Chemistry can keep you stagnant because where you're going, the things that are required for you to get to where you are going in life may not feel good. But chemistry keeps you in a place where, oh, this is what I'm used to. This is what mixes well. This is what's comfortable. Cool. Compatibility is really focused on getting you to the point of optimal functioning. Okay, optimal functioning as a couple, as a employee, as a business person. This is something, and when you're in this space, know that you can apply what you hear here to your business relationships, to your family relationships, across the board. A principle is a principle. All right. So realize that compatibility really is about you working well together. Chemistry is judged based on emotions, but in order to judge compatibility, and this is the whole meat and potatoes of the conversation, because I can tell you the differences, I can tell you the problems that come up when you're chasing chemistry instead of compatibility. But then how do you know when how do you judge compatibility even before you choose a person, even before you choose a job? How do you judge compatibility? Because compatibility is something that you need to know before you encounter the person or the situation. And compatibility is judged by knowing yourself. knowing yourself. You have got to be willing and able to slow down long enough to learn yourself if you want to know who is compatible with you or what is compatible with you. Because sometimes we are looking for things to be compatible with parts of ourselves that will not move with us into the future, that will not be a part of the woman that you're becoming or the life that you're building. And so you've got to be willing to pause, slow down, and get to know yourself before you get to know anybody else, before you step into another relationship, before you step into another business, another thing. Because I know how we like to pick up things when we don't know what to do next. As women, we will go back to school, we will change jobs, we will pack up everything and move to another city when we don't know what to do next. I am inviting you to, instead of making your next move outside of yourself, let your next move be you so that you know what is truly compatible with you. 2022, I can tell you this just based on the 2 years that we just experienced and what the future is looking like. 2022 is going to be the time for you to get very clear on who you are, where you are going, what you desire for your life and relationships. Because if you don't, these things will be decided for you, regardless of you. Okay. So to judge compatibility, you must know yourself. You must also know your needs. A person being able to work well with you, you've got to know what you actually need. Some of you are getting into relationships, taking on responsibilities, stepping into situations that you don't even need. It might look like something that you need, but because you haven't taken the time to step back and truly look at yourself, who are you now? And where are you going? You're making choices based on a version of you that you don't even want to be anymore, or based on circumstances and situations that you don't desire anymore. So it's important to know yourself, to know your needs. Where are you going? Where are you going next in your life? Because a person's compatibility with you is going to be based on how they work for the road that you're on. How they work for the road that you're on. Think about it. There are certain cars that you can't drive in certain terrains. You could want, desire that luxury car, that Bentley Bentayga, wonderful. Guess what? If your life is taking you through a mountainous terrain right now, you're going to tear that car up. No matter how good, emotional, it brought up all these feelings of accomplishment, success, all the chemistry was there. But it was not compatible with where your life was and what you were navigating at that time. So understand that compatibility is not always about what is the popular thing, what looks good on paper, but it is about what will actually work for who you actually are. You don't get compatibility without authenticity. You don't. You get someone who feels good for who you are pretending to be. You get something that feels good for who you are pretending to be. But then once that mask comes off, now you got to start all over. And so if you are finding yourself in that place that's saying, I feel something deeper inside of me calling me forward, I feel something calling me into more powerful relationships, not just good chemistry relationships, not just popular relationships, but powerful relationships. If you feel something calling you to learn yourself deeper and know yourself deeper, then I invite you to join us in the next cohort of the Ease Experience. This experience, you've probably seen all the testimonials again and again and again because I share them all the time. But women's lives are absolutely changing. Relationships are absolutely changing. Some of them are here in these comments right now. Relationships are absolutely changing. The way that they approach work is changing. Because here's the thing, I am also a firm believer that how we do one thing is how we do all things. And we generally, when we are incompatible in one area, we are choosing incompatibility in other areas. Now, I talked about this on Monday, and I'll share this analogy with you guys tonight. Because sometimes when you're in an incompatible situation, but the chemistry feels good, you stick with it. You stick around, you try to fix it, you hope that it'll change, you hope that they'll treat you better at the job, you hope that they'll finally respect you, you hope that they'll claim you, you hope that your husband will do what he needs to. You hope, you hope, you hope. And here's what that actually is, what that's doing to you. Have you ever, and my good girlfriends who've been knowing me my whole life know that I have been in this situation. Have you ever bought a pair of shoes, beautiful, beautiful pair of shoes, just gorgeous, right? Made your heart leap when you saw them. You came alive. You were like, yes. And then you put the shoes on after you bought them and you realize that they were a smidge too small, a smidge, like that much too small or too big. But you decided to wear the shoe anyway. You decided to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it because I bought them. I done passed the return deadline, so I'm going to just stick with it because I got them. Then you wear the shoe. Now you got rubbing on the back of your feet, corns and bunions coming on your toes, hammer toe. I know my mom had to go through hammer toe surgery. Hammer toe, you got all these situations going on because you are trying to make a beautiful thing work that does not work for you, that is not a fit for you, that is not compatible for you. That's really important to think about, ladies, because many times we are choosing things in our life that are a great chemistry fit, make you feel amazing, but then they also don't. So, understanding how to learn yourself, know yourself on a deeper level, because we all grown, you know some things about yourself, but if you are feeling that call in your gut that says this isn't it, this is wonderful, but this isn't it, then I invite you to join us in the ease experience. So really quickly, I'm going to break down to you what the ease experience is and what you'll get inside of the ease experience. So you get access to the feminine success master training. That's the first thing. That's the most one of the most important parts of the ease experience is the master training. It is a 5-part master training where we walk through mastering your feminine mindset. That's a very deep getting to know yourself module. So be prepared for going a little deeper. We're not going to leave you in the deep, but we're going to bring you to the deep. All right. The well managed home. So I totally believe that our homes are our refuge. Our homes should feel safe. Our homes should feel peaceful. And we should also have a sense of ease and stress freeness in our homes. We get enough stress outside in the world. But because that's where you go to replenish yourself, to further get to know yourself and express yourself, we go into well managed home life systems. We also discuss being well paid and purposeful. One of the things, again, that contributes to who you are and where you're going is the work that you do. Do you know how to do the work that you love, how to be who you are and brand yourself in such a way that work is no longer requiring you to neglect yourself or sacrifice yourself in order to earn and make an impact? So that's part 3. And then part 4 is your relationships. Y'all, hands down, not because it's my training, but because husbands, women who walk through this program, their husbands, their boyfriends, their fathers have picked up the guide that comes with the program and taken it and done the work themselves because it's that good. Now, if you can get a man to do some work, like workbook work, not like hammering and nailing, because men love that kind of stuff, but like a going deeper guide that a man willingly, without you having to ask him, will pick up and do himself, you know you got a good thing going. So that is part 4, which is the well-loved woman relationship systems. And then in part 5, we talk about sustaining your soft power. Now that you've tapped into your softness, now that you've tapped into your strength, your power, how to sustain that. All right. So that is the master training. And then you get a 3-day live experience. So it is a virtual live coaching experience where you get to ask all of your questions. If you've been in any of my classes, you know I stay and answer every question on the floor. You also get specific strategy to guide you and show you now that you have the tools. Sometimes we go through something and we get the tools, but now I have a bunch of tools that I don't really know how to apply to my situation. In the master training, in the ease experience, we actually talk to you directly and hear you directly so that you can get supported directly on how to use the tools you now have in your life and your situation. So that is the ease experience. It is the best way to start coaching. If you've never worked with a coach before, if you've been saying, yeah, I've been wanting to work with you for years, oh my goodness, this gives you 3 solid days along with 30 days inside of our private community where you get that ongoing support. And you get access to the master training, which is literally the most solid masterclass I have ever created. And I've created some good masterclasses. It comes with 100+ page guide. I think it's like 106 pages, but the guide is not like a book that you read. The guide is a book that you write. It's a book that you write. And when you get it, you'll understand exactly what I mean. It is a guided experience that literally helps you to tap into your deeper intuition, to tap into your practical understanding of where you're going, what you desire for yourself next, and get your whole life in alignment. All right. So imagine if you have a table and one of the legs on that table or 2 of the legs on that table is shaky. That's going to be a real uncomfortable eating experience. Some of us settle for that discomfort. Some of us settle. But if you're that person who says, nope, I want all 4 legs on my table to be solid. I want my thought life to be good. I want my home life to be good, my work life, and my relationships. Then this is exactly what you have been looking for. So, the ease experience, join me in the ease experience. We are kicking off on March 13th. So you have a window to join us. But what I will say is there is a 24-hour price. So get on top of it. Also, the earlier you join, the longer you have access to the master training material. So if you join now, you have access to that training material now and for 14 days beyond the master class or beyond the ease experience. So if you want to go at your own pace, take your time, if you're that kind of person, I would say make sure that you join us early. And I'm going to put the link over here on YouTube and Facebook. All right. And bit.ly, I'm going to put it over here on Instagram too. I'll actually, since we have a couple of minutes, I will scroll back and see if there are any questions on Insta. If you have questions on Insta, go ahead and enter them into the question box and I will answer them. Questions about compatibility, questions about chemistry, amens, hallelujahs. All right. So bit.ly/ ease me, please. Give me some ease. Listen, I'm all about relationships don't need to be difficult. Living a life you love does not need to be difficult. Having a home life that runs, that removes stress from you instead of adding stress to you, does not need to be difficult. I really believe that our foremothers dealt with the difficulty so we would have better strategies moving forward. And I'm here to teach those strategies, the ones that I have learned, because I don't know it all, but what I do know has helped a whole lot of women. So, P. Morgan says, I'd offer people can be authentically ourselves, but then our circumstances change. Hence, our authenticity shifts. That's where I've experienced the most issues. That's so interesting. How does your authenticity change based on your circumstances? Or shall I say, why does your authenticity change based on your circumstances? Because it is a choice, and a powerful choice, to decide that you are going to be yourself no matter what, that who you are is going to be who you are. Now, that is not to say that we can't grow and evolve and develop as things change in our lives, but it is to say that your core values, your integrity, your morals, your code that you live by as a person, that doesn't need to change because your circumstances change. Okay. And if your authenticity is tied to another person, ask yourself, is that really authentic? If your authenticity is tied to a person being a certain way or doing a certain thing, is that really authentic? So for me, one way that I would see that situation is when I hear women say things like, "Oh, I was being feminine, but he was acting a fool, so I wasn't being feminine anymore. I couldn't be feminine anymore because he wasn't being a man." No, I'm a feminine woman and I am going to maintain my feminine power. Now, does that mean I don't have masculine power as well? I do. But I get to decide when I'm going to use that, not some man that knocked me off of my square. So now I'm going to go back to, now I got to go back to the old me. When we say things like that, we really never let who we were previously go. And we're going to be that person anyways because we were holding on to, just in case I got to let it out the bag. When you truly shift and awaken to your power, nobody can change that or take that away from you. Um, and you can decide to become even more of yourself based on certain situations. So in that case, in that instance where it's like, oh, I couldn't be feminine because um uh, he wasn't being masculine or whatever have you. No, I can't have you as a part of my life because you're not who I need you to be, or you're not who you need you to be. If you're not going to be aiming to be your best self, at the very least, you got to go. So that's one example. So P. Morgan says, I changed after having a baby girl. I used to be rougher around the edges, more independent for sure. Now I know the beauty of resting in my feminine. That is so, so beautiful. And I do find that I have evolved. So I wouldn't say authenticity changes, but you as a person definitely will evolve and develop. I was a boy mom times three before I had a daughter. And I would actually say I was rougher before I had children in general. I was like super tough, super kick ass, don't ain't taking no stuff, that like that mindset. And I felt like I had to be. I felt like that's what I had to do to protect myself and to make sure nobody messed with me and all these other things. But having children really softened me in a new way. And that doesn't mean that I was less authentic, but what it actually meant for me, I don't know if this is for everyone, is that softness was who I wanted to be, but I felt like I couldn't be because of how the world was. And a new experience came along to crack open that shell that I had built around myself and expose the softer version of me. So it was still authenticity. And what I'll even say is, I was not being my authentic self when I was being tough. Now, do I have some toughness in me? For sure. But using that as a default was not who I authentically wanted to be. Being independent was not who I authentically wanted to be. It was who I had to be based on what my perception of the world was. Because even that, when we start to really dig deep, we start to realize that sometimes we are being who we are because of how we see things. And when we see things differently, we can show up differently. So all of that, we go through all of that with a fine tooth comb, step by step inside of the ease experience. So if that's the conversation y'all are trying to have, definitely join me in the ease experience. All right. Let me see. Were there any other questions over here? Let's see. Thank y'all for all of the hearts and love over here on IG. I appreciate it. Hey, Abu, didn't know you were in the building. So good to see you. Let's see. Eden says, this analogy has been echoing in my ears for 2 days since our call. I'm sure you're not the only one. My clients are here like, yes, that conversation on Monday was hot fire. Okay. All right. So I've invited y'all to the ease experience. If you are serious about taking your life, your womanhood, your systems and strategies to the next level, this is not about killing your masculine side and burying it and all of those other things. This is about understanding how to harmonize your masculine and feminine powers so that you can have relationships that feel good to you emotionally, but also make sense, so that you can make choices that feel good to you emotionally, but also make sense for your future. And you can do so with ease. So, with that, I am going to say goodnight. Hey, everybody who's joining me now and waving. Make sure that y'all watch the replay. It was amazing. And if you know someone who needed this live but was not here, make sure that you share. Make sure that you drop it in their inbox, get on their nerves a little bit about it, because this conversation needs to be spread. All right. I'll talk to y'all soon. Y'all have an amazing night.